Hey guys. All right. So today we're going to move on into our music and family text set. And I'm going to use the nonfiction article as my example so you don't have to choose it. It is the longest thing on the text set, so you're welcome. But I do think it's important to start with it. It's a really good piece. So when you click on it, it'll ask you to make a copy. And once you've done that, it is your copy to highlight, annotate, whatever you'd like to do. So this first text is called An Anatomy of a Mixtape. And so if you don't know what a mixtape is, they originated a long time ago where people would record certain things on these tapes before CDs, before Spotify and streaming was available. And so it's like if you have Spotify, it's the way that songs are put together on a playlist, especially if you're the one controlling it yourself. And so in the article, Dan Dalton talks about, his evolution of mixtapes, but then he talks about that ultimately he's a storyteller, right? He's not a DJ where he can spin a set for a certain amount of time, which is different between being a storyteller and a playlist. He says it's how he makes sense of the world. And he typically will put them in no more than a playlist of 10 songs. And then he goes through, it's about finding the right 10 songs, putting them in the right order. That's the joy other than listening. That's the challenge of it, like putting the right words in a sentence. People have argued that 10 songs isn't enough, but I disagree. For me, 10 is the perfect number of songs. There's no time to dally. But then again, he's a minimalist. And he talks about all this, all these different types of rules that people have when they put these playlists together about, when, you like somebody and you're trying to make them a playlist or any of those things, right? There are certain songs that are for specific moments and putting them together. So he talks about some examples that he put together, and then ultimately at the end, he writes a blog, and I believe he has some kind of channel or something on Spotify. And he says his subscribers enjoy the playlists that he makes. And so he talks about, being a storyteller within his playlists, and anatomy means the organization or structure of a body of something. And so he just basically talks about how he puts it together in this example. So you are going to complete a comparing genres graphic organizer. It's similar to your Venn diagram, only this one has a little bit more information on the columns to help you fill it out. So you don't have to do all of this today. You're only going to do one of the columns today and then one of them tomorrow. But I did want to give you an example. So I used the movie clip from Selena and the nonfiction text, The Anatomy of a Mixtape. And notice I didn't use particular evidence per se, but I did specify some examples. So if you'll notice in these little charts, when we did our Venn diagrams last week, I didn't really give you specific directions or guidelines. I just wanted us to think about these topics, right? We didn't even have to do complete sentences for the most part, but this is going to be a little bit different. So your directions say read through the options in the music and family text set and choose 2 different genres for this assignment. So you're going to go through the whole set and look at everything I've given you. And then you are going to list the ones you choose and that you like the best in each of the categories. So one in the orange and then one in the blue, and you'll highlight them. And then for this one, you do need to write in complete sentences, but you have a whole entire day for just 3 sections and then a whole entire day for another one. So for the intended effect, I want you to think about the emotions or reactions that the speaker or writer wants to convey. So for Jack White's, I believe that's his name, his Grammy nomination acceptance speech kind of thing, I think he got an honorary Grammy. Obviously, his emotions are for gratitude, right? Inspiration. Whereas maybe in the the Selena movie clip, it would be appreciation for her culture, right? It would be acknowledgement of something. So you want to think about emotions and reactions. For genre characteristics, what are the features of the genre that you notice? And again, you need to go back to your genre notes to go back and look at that. And I pulled mine from that PowerPoint I shared with you as well. And then, of course, purpose and audience. Remember, purpose is an action, so 2 plus an action verb. And then audiences, what kinds of people would be most affected by the message of the text. So you kind of need to know that intended effect because it's kind of like the message before you can really think about the audience. So in the movie clip, the emotions that can be felt in this clip are appreciation and acknowledgement of the importance of creating memories that can add value to a person's life. The memory illustrated in this clip shows a cultural relevance and connection that helps shape a person's, aka Selena and her mom's, identity. It also encourages the viewer to reflect on our own memories that have shaped our own identities. Versus the anatomy of a mixtape, because the word anatomy in the title suggests the organization or structure, the author uses this as a metaphor, right? It's not anatomy of like physical human beings, but of this idea of a mixtape for explaining the most important thing to consider when building the perfect playlist, along with humor, because he's kind of funny. The writer presents his perspective to enlighten others about a new way to tell a story through putting different types of music together. So for the genre, the movie clip is clearly drama, but it can also be multimodal since it's part of a film. So there's a combination of action, dialogue, and music that work together to create this iconic moment where Selena learns one of her signature dance moves, aka the washing machine. The genre of the anatomy of a mixtape is nonfiction. So the article uses examples like Spotify and cassette tapes and CDs and specific song choices, as well as his own personal experience to explain how to put together the perfect playlist, obviously, in his opinion. And so, for purpose and audience, the purpose of the video clip is to illustrate how Selena learned one of her popular dance moves from her mother. More importantly, the clip also highlights the power of passing down cultural traditions within our families. The intended audience would be, of course, fans of Selena and her music, and those that are interested in her life and biography. Versus the purpose of the article is to educate people who might be unfamiliar with what a mixtape is or a playlist or what it contains, and to inspire others to think about how to organize their own playlist to create new ways of storytelling. The intended audience for this article are those who enjoy creating playlists of different types of music. And another type would be specifically his fan base and his subscribers, because obviously he creates things for those groups of people. So that was just your example. You want to have that available when you're completing your own. So in your comparing genres graphic organizer, notice I just need part 1 today, and that will verify your attendance. If you just open it and attempt at least writing the titles or something, I will give you attendance credit for today. But if you haven't even opened it by the time I get to Wednesday, it's an absence. And then the same thing for Tuesday, because this assignment is due on Tuesday. So yours is just a blank graphic organizer. So for today, I really would need you to type in your choices here in these two columns and then start working through at least one of them. Okay, maybe pick the easier of the two and just try. And then tomorrow we can polish. And especially if you have any questions, you can use tomorrow's Zoom class period to ask me. Okay. All right, guys, that's all we're doing today. Just part 1 of this graphic organizer and reading through the choices on the text set. There's some videos on there and some infographics as well. And remember, I chose the longest article to model for you. So you're welcome. I hope you have a great Tuesday, and I will see you later on Zoom or tomorrow. Take care.